Hi, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Ask a Death Doula. My name is Suzanne O'Brien. I am so excited about today. This has been something that I've been working on for months, and I am so excited to announce with you that today we are sharing that we have the Good Death Seminar series for you. Wow, just wait till you hear what this is going to be. So my name is Suzanne O'Brien. I'm a former hospice and oncology nurse, and most end of lives, in my humble opinion, have not gone as well as they possibly could. And I'm being very, very gentle when I say that. There are huge gaps in the system. Death has become the number one fear in the world. The end of life support that we have called hospice care, which is the end of life care, has major challenges within it. The challenges being that as a hospice worker, and this is determined by Medicare, not by me, I'll share my personal experience with you, and families have shared theirs. But because of the reimbursement structure, we all know that the healthcare system is fragmented and there's very little time with actual patients and families. And there's nothing that's more important than time for end of life care. Hospicecare, which is your end of life care provider, Medicare determined that a hospice worker is only in the home of somebody at the end of life on average for 30 minutes a day. That means that the family is doing 98% of that end of life care when they usually don't know the first thing about how to do that care. This has to change. The Good Death Seminar series is going to be a pivotal part in helping make that change. So I'm announcing again today that we have a live 6-month seminar series. I'm going to tell you all about it. I'm going to tell you what's in it. I'm going to tell you how you can join. This is going to be an interactive live event. There are no recordings. So if it's something that you are interested in coming to this seminar, I want you to sign up. I want you to share this with your friends. Why? Because this is going to give you back the tools and the understanding of how to care for someone you love at the end of life, which each and every one of us will be called to do at some point in our journey. Multiple times, I'm sure. Knowing how to do that and having the skills changes absolutely everything. So this is my life's mission. This is what I'm here for. I have so much background in this, and I love to share my education with the world. By the way, for free, for free. So this seminar series is a $97 for each one of the events. It is offered to you now for free. So what it is, it's again bringing back the skills on how to care for someone at the end of life so that you can have a good death with someone you love. When right now I can humbly and honestly say that most end of lives are not going well. We only have one opportunity to have it go well. If it goes well, that family remembers that forever. And if it doesn't go well, they remember that forever. So we've got to do everything in our power to make this change, make this cultural shift. And this is a big part in it. So what is the Good Death Seminar series? It's going to be 6 months. You don't have to come to all of them. It's going to be 6 months of every 2 weeks having a segment of teaching and a seminar for you live, giving you questions, having group discussions, and then answering again any questions that participants have. It's going to be held on Zoom, very interactive. There are limited seats available, so please do not wait on this. If you see a seminar that you want to join, please make sure to register. These will fill up. So it's held online with people from all around the world, called the Good Death Seminar Series, every 2 weeks. It's going to be a period of 75 minutes in total. The price is $97. It is now free of charge, so please do not hesitate to sign up. Each session is going to consist of a segment of teaching, group discussion, and Q&A session. This is going to be taught by myself, Suzanne B. O'Brien, the founder of Doulagivers Institute. It's going to be on every Wednesday night from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m., 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm going to give you a calendar of the events below and how you can sign up for each one. So why am I doing this? Why is this important? This has got to change. Bringing back the sacred, natural experience that end of life is, that death is, the teaching that it provides each and every one of us about how we can live in the most present, grateful way and fulfilling way in this life's journey is what death provides us. Just the awareness that one day this journey will not be how it is. But I will also say this, that I have been honored to see some of the most beautiful end of life experiences that you can ever imagine, with the right education, with the right support for that family, and for something that's 100% guaranteed. Each and every person should have access to this education. Doulagivers Institute is making that happen. So let's talk about the different topics. It's going to be so exciting. It's going to be over 6 months. It's going to be a total of 12 seminars starting October 2nd. So sign up, sign up, sign up. The first one on October 2nd is going to be a topic in the seminar of how did we get to this place where death is the #1 fear in the world? How did we get here? Because I want to share this with you. We've been dying for thousands of years as a human race. We know how to do this. It's only in the last 100 years that death has literally been stripped and removed from our awareness. And what has that done? What has that done on so many levels? First of all, we don't have the even practical information on how to prepare and care for someone we love at the end of life. When it does show up, and 100% of the time it's going to show up, it is going to be 1,000, if not 10,000 times more difficult. We see that every day. It's happening every single day. But what about the awareness that death is a natural part of the life cycle? And what does it teach us about we're so much more similar than different? And also hearing from the wisdom of those at the end of life about what they want you to know, what they are experiencing and what they want to share with you and what they want you to know while you still have the opportunity to be living in this life's journey. It's changed my life completely and changed so many others as well. So we want to talk in this seminar about how literally we've lost our way. We just forgot over the last 100 years that death is a natural, sacred part of a life experience. We've turned it into a medical one. We've handed it over to medical institutions. We have taught doctors how to keep people alive, and we forgot to teach them how to care for patients and families, supporting them at the end of life, which in my opinion may be, if not the most important care they ever give. We've taught doctors how to keep people alive, but keeping people alive and living are two different things. And I just read recently when we were researching this podcast, there's a beautiful statement and quote that I'll put out for you. And it said, at the end of life, are we extending life or are we extending death? And I will tell you that I have seen time and time and time again somebody's death being extended and having so much more suffering for that patient and that family with false hope, when they should have just been having loving symptom management care at home, highest quality they could possibly have in their surroundings, which, by the way, 9 out of 10 people say they want to be cared for at home when terminally ill. Yet usually the family doesn't know the first thing about how to do that care. That's what this seminar series is giving back. Preparation, what you need to know, how you can care for somebody at the end of life, what choices we need to individually make so that that can happen, so that can go really well with our family being supported and supporting us in what we subjectively want for our end of life wishes. So this is going to be a seminar on October 2nd that is going to teach us literally how we just forgot that end of life is a holistic, natural experience, not a medical one. And even when I say this to doctors, when I have our conversations with doctors and I say, you know, death is a human experience, not a medical one, they go, oh, right. Wait a minute. We've turned it into a medical one. We expect doctors to fix it. And you know, as much as you can do and tweak and surgeries and things like that, you can extend life, but it's not to be fixed. It's supposed to be supported. It's supposed to be met with holding space and the tightest of symptom management while that person's on their end of life journey, not just caring for the person, but caring for their loved ones as well. Have one opportunity to have end of life go well. We cannot go back and do it again. So the first seminar is going to be, how did we get here and how did death become the #1 fear in the world? That's October 2nd. Then on October 16th, we have, what is hospice care and how does it work? What is the hospice gap and how can we fill it? October 30th is going to talk about what is an advance directive. It's going to share the question of, are they legally binding? And it's also going to share what you need to know to make your wishes a legal medical order. This is the Doulagiver's Pearls. These are the pearls that'll absolutely change your journey for yourself and for those you love. Invaluable information. November 13th, we're going to have, what is a healthcare proxy? And we're going to spotlight the incorrect verbiage that's being used and how do you pick one? So again, these are critical pieces of information that can completely change your end of life experience with those you love and with yourself, turning it into an empowered journey that 100% each of us are going to get to. December 4th, we're going to talk about what I determine is the benchmark of how you make decisions for what you would want or what you would not want for end of life care. So December 4th is going to be the seminar, what does quality of life mean to you? And why this should be the benchmark for how you choose to move forward based on decisions that are made by informed, subjective information. I want to stop for a minute. I was on a call yesterday with an incredible doula. She trained in 2018, Elizabeth Wong. She's out in San Francisco. She is doing bilingual death over dim sum community events. She's just made such a positive impact in her community and in the world with this work, which is why we're here, right? This is why we're here. But she was talking about her mom, and she's taking beautiful care of her mom. And she was talking about one of the hardest things for her to learn in being a doula giver is what it means to hold space for someone. And I want you to hear this. This, for all of us as family members, may be the hardest piece of understanding to embody, that it's not about what we think is best. It's not about us taking over. It's about holding space for your loved one that's at the end of life. And hear me out, I know how hard this can be. Making sure, this is what we have to make sure, that your loved one has all the information to make informed, subjective decisions about their healthcare for them, not for me, for them. And that should be based on what quality of life means to them. And this may not be the same decision that you would make, but the most loving thing we could possibly do for someone is support them in their wishes as long as they are informed, subjective decisions. And this is what is not out there, is the information. How can people make subjective, informed decisions for themselves if they don't have the information? If we're not talking about end of life, we're not talking about the planning, we're not talking about the tools that we have, and we're not talking about the choices that each and every one of us have to make to have that good end of life. And that's what this seminar series is all about. So this is going to be December 4th. The seminar is, what does quality of life mean to you, and why this should be the benchmark of how you choose to move forward with doing procedures or medication regimes based on decisions that are made from, again, informed, subjective information. And then you choose what's right for you. December 18th is going to be how to ensure the best end of life experience for yourself. This is the 9 essential questions you need to answer. I want to say this, there's so much incredible information coming your way. And if you look at the list of seminars below and you just pick one that's speaking to your heart that you want to come to, it will be the best 75 minutes that you have spent. This may be one of them, December 18th. And what a great time, right? Because it's, the holidays, we could share what we want with our families. We see our aging family members and all of that goodness. So the 9 essential questions were born because I've had 2 decades of end of life experience, been so blessed in this space, have seen so many things that are not going well, have done so much education, curriculum, writing, and creating tools for you. And this is one of the best. This is the 9 questions that need to be answered by each and every one of us to ensure a good death. And I have never found an advanced directive that has all these questions. So we created one in the last year and a half. And I'm going to be sharing with you the 9 essential questions you need to answer and how you can access that form for free. January 1st, we are going to do how to have a family conversation about your end of life wishes and why this is one of the greatest gifts you could ever give to them. Okay, 2 families that I can point out, and that is a tragic thing for me to say. With all of the people that I've worked with, 2 families have shared with me that their parent had all of the decisions already made for themselves about what they wanted for end of life care, where they wanted to be cared for at the end of life, what they wanted for their wake or funeral or memorial, all those beautiful choices that we have, what they even wanted to wear, where they wanted to be buried, how they wanted to be celebrated, everything done, including many of them paid for. In fact, both families, the person had already prepaid for their funeral, for their arrangements for after they died. They told me, both of these families, and I cannot emphasize this enough, both families told me how much easier this end of life experience was with someone they love because their mother, their father had already done all of the decision making. All they had to do was follow it. All they had to do was follow the plans. And so for me, sharing with you that this is one of the greatest decisions that you can ever make is having a family conversation and sharing with them your choices, what you would want, what you would not want, and telling them why. Explaining to them why you would not want a feeding tube. I would not want to, and I'll use myself as an example, I would not want a feeding tube if that was the only thing that was going to sustain me living and I had no quality of life, where I couldn't do anything for myself. I was never going to regain functioning. I don't want to be kept alive through a feeding tube and staying in that, to me, very tragic state of existence. That's not quality of life. So explaining to your family what quality of life is to you, when you would want extended measures, when you wouldn't, and telling them why. It's the greatest gift you can give to them, because I will tell you this, out of all the families that I've worked with, there have only been a few that have ever unanimously agreed. And I'm going to say to this, and this is a very sad statement, I have so many families that I know are not talking to this day, because at end of life, everyone's stuff, all the fear bubbles up, and families fear gets misdirected. They start to fight. They start to get angry. That person dies. And then the family's left in this horrible state of not speaking to each other. This should never be what it is. You have a responsibility. I have a responsibility as a human being and as an adult to make choices for myself and to share that with my family. It is not fair to leave it for them to try and figure out. So this is all our responsibilities. This January 1st event is going to show you how to start that family conversation. How do you have it? How do you create a safe, loving atmosphere to have it? And what do you say to each family member? Because, fear will come up in this space. And how do you help quell those fears, support them at this moment? And I'll give you a little bit of a tool right here, is that having this conversation way before we ever get there is key. All right. Then we have January 15th. That is going to be the seminar, What to Do When Families Do Not Agree on End of Life Care for a Loved One. Happens all the time. What do we do at that moment? How do we bring this family unit back into the focus of what this is about, understanding and acknowledging how hard this is and how hard this can be for each individual person? So many times when we're not prepared and we don't do these things, and we're, in that situation, we're at the bedside of the ICU and families do not agree on what should happen next because mom didn't do her advance directive or share with us the wishes. You can see what I'm doing here. This is exactly why you want to have that family conversation and do your paperwork ahead of time. But what can you do when you're at this moment and families do not agree on end of life care for a loved one? We're going to give you the tools for those. On January 29th, your seminar is the 3 most common end-of-life phenomena reported around the world. And I ask you this question: is there something more to this journey than most of us know? And I'm going to give you, spoiler alert, yes, right now, because there's phenomena that happen at the end of life. And this is, again, to me, the invaluable teaching that end of life provides us about how to live. Because the minute I started working in hospice care and started working with those at the end of life, I started noticing immediately that people at the end of life were saying many of the same things about what life was about. And what they were sharing, that they were seeing and experiencing, completely changed my life, like on a dime. And I want you to know this: if you want your life to change, it's not about this big shift that you have to, get a new job or go to a new city or, do these major things. Those are okay. But I'll tell you what the biggest shift is. It's the change in your perception. It's the lens in which you look at this life through. And my life changed like that. Literally the first day I went out to see hospice patients, there was a connection that I felt that I had never felt before. But all of the reinforcing of these beautiful wisdom at the end of life, these phenomena that happen at the end of life. And by the way, they happen from people all over the world are reporting the same phenomena. So on January 29th, don't miss that one. Sign up. The 3 most common end of life phenomena reported around the world. Does it lead us to believe that there's something more, something incredible? And I'm going to tell you right now, absolutely. February 12th, the seminar will be What Are Home Wakes? What are home funerals? And what is a funeral? What is a funeral? So there's new ways of celebrating at the end of life, and they are magnificent. They are empowering. They are choices that we have to make. I'm also going to share with you the benefits and how to have them. So what are the benefits reported of having these new choices and how you can have one too? Then on February 25th, we're going to talk about the new dying green options. Let's be clear and let's be very honest here. Our planet is suffering. Our planet is challenged by all of the abuse that we have been putting it under. It's time that we become conscious of that. What choices can we make that can have a positive impact on the planet going forward? So I'm going to teach you about the new dying green options. I'm going to talk to you about traditional burial versus natural burial. I'm going to talk to you about water cremations, human composting, and more. And again, there is not a wrong choice, but I want you to know you have choices. And many of these choices are financially sound, are environmentally positive, and extremely empowering. So for me to think that I can make a choice today that will have a positive impact on the earth for years, decades after I'm not physically here anymore is something really empowering to me. And I'm sure it is something that you want to hear as well. And then on March 12th, which is our last one, we are going to have the seminar of grief and bereavement. We're going to talk about the truth about grief. And we're going to talk about how to have the healthiest bereavement period possible. We're also going to include in that seminar how to talk to children about death. So here's your seminar series. It is all laid out. It is going to be incredible. And again, you're going to be joined in community on Zoom. You're going to have an opportunity to come on camera and ask questions if you'd like. It's the Good Death Seminar Series, a live 6-month seminar series starting October 2nd. It's going to be held every 2 weeks. It's going to be 75 minutes live. It's going to consist of a teaching segment, then a group discussion, and a Q&A session. These seminars are $97. They are now offered for free. Space is limited, so please do not hesitate to sign up. They will fill up. Please look at the list below, sign up for the seminar series that you want to join. And this is all that I ask you. This is free information and education for positive change. All I ask of you is that you share it with others. This is how we change the world. I love you so very much, everyone. This is the Good Death Seminar Series. This is Ask a Death Doula. Please leave your comments below. I'll be happy to answer each and every one. I love you so much, and I'll see you in the next episode. Thanks, everybody.